one player that will be on the move from all of the bad teams. We will begin where else but Queens, the epicenter of baseballing woe this 2026 season. The Mets entered the year with big expectations, and all they have done is fall face first in a pile of mud. Who will be out the door from the Mets?
Their expiring contracts include A.J. Minter, Freddie Peralta, Brooks Raley, Tyrone Taylor. Clay Holmes, you can also put in that bucket. Luis Robert, they do have team options. In Robert's case, player options. In Clay Holmes' case for next year. You can include those guys in essentially expiring contracts as well. So those are 6 players that I don't really see any reason, unless they can work out an extension with Clay Holmes, which it does not seem like they're making any progress on.
Not happening.
When Clay Holmes was asked about it. Those are 6 players that I guess I would just frankly be shocked are still on the Mets in a week. So, again, that's Robert Taylor on the offensive side, and then Raley, Minter, Peralta, and Holmes on the pitching side. I think those, do you agree with me? Like, there's really no reason that those guys should be on the Mets in a week.
Everything I'm hearing would suggest that they are being aggressive in shopping all of those players. There are some teams that are on the fence or even moving towards sell that have really yet to pick up the phone and say, hey, we're looking to move this guy. That is not the case with the Mets. Like the Mets, like David Stearns is being active and reaching out to teams to let them know that these players are available. And the one that compels me more than anyone else is Freddie Peralta. Entered this season as one of the biggest pieces moved over the winter and has spent the last 4 months underperforming at every turn. I believe his ERA is just a tick under 5 at this point. And he has not been the ace that the Mets hoped they were getting. Now, the thing about Peralta that is interesting, there's 2 things here that I want to mention on Freddie Peralta. Whatever team acquires him needs to have a plan. Because I think that copying and pasting him into a different atmosphere, setting, ecosystem is not a sufficient enough approach to get this guy right. You can't just say, we're saving you from the stink of the 2026 Mets and that'll figure everything out. No, they need to have a real plan on how to get Freddie Peralta back to being Freddie Peralta. And the other thing about him is you could deploy him if you don't have that plan. You could deploy him as an underwhelming, capable 5 starter for the rest of the season and then just put him in the bullpen in October. That is another way to do it.
Yeah, but like, is that the team that's going to trade for him? Probably not.
Right.
But I guess that is a fallback plan. 2 other quick things
like the
on the
Phillies.
Mets. Luke Weaver.
Right.
Yeah. Oh, sure.
Do I think that the Phillies are going to make a deal with the Mets? Probably not. But like, if the Phillies go out and get Freddie Peralta to be their 5 starter, and then they just like that would fit. That would make some sense.
Sure. But other teams need him more in whatever form. And also it's just interesting because we thought he was barreling towards getting a ton of money this winter. And if he still wants to do that, he's going to have to pitch a whole lot better down the stretch. The opportunity will be there for him to improve on a team that's contending, but he certainly has a lot to prove because of how bad he's been for 4 months. I definitely just want to mention Luke Weaver as a reliever who's just been terrific and is under contract for next year at a good amount of money for a reliever. But if teams want a rock solid 7th or 8th inning guy, or even a closer, depending on who you are, I have to imagine they're at least going to consider moving him, unless they think like, no, he has to be a part of our 2027 bullpen. Which maybe they do see that, but I think they're going to consider that. And then I'll just say it. I don't know what any Lindor trade stuff. I don't understand where this came from. It makes no sense to me. It's like one of the strangest. It's bizarre. I can't even believe that I'm seeing Mets fans having to like explain that we shouldn't trade Francisco Lindor, or that it's not likely. I don't get it. That does not interest me, and I'm just confused by it. So I'm going to put that to bed. All right. Let's move to the Giants of San Francisco. Man, what a disastrous ball club. Friends, don't worry. We will discuss Harrison Bader's scooter accident on Friday. You can probably guess
Harrison Bader's
podcast.
Second scooter accident.
Oh, spoilers. Yes. But let's focus on who is going to get traded, because we know that Harrison Bader doesn't have a whole lot of trade value right now. And that focus is on Luis Arraez and Robbie Ray, who are their expiring contracts. I think the question with the Giants is just, would they go farther than that with guys under contract a little bit longer, whether that's a Chapman or a Jung-Hoo Lee or a Devers? I mean, Devers has been unbelievable for a few months, but I don't think anyone's trading for that contract again. Any of their younger starters, I don't think they're trading Logan Webb. So I think that they can just stay focused on Arraez and Robbie Ray, who should be able to get them some decent stuff, and just try to nail those trades and probably not complicate this any further would be my recommendation for Mr. Pobozy.
Can we spend a little bit of time with Luis Arraez? One of the more remarkable seasons that we've seen in quite some time, going from a buns defensive first baseman to a supremely good defensive second baseman. His offensive production has also ticked up this season. What are the fits here? I think Boston went from a great fit to a bad fit until Curtis Mead broke his wrist fractured, and is going to be on the IL for a while. I would say now they're back in on Luis Arraez. Are the Giants and Red Sox going to make another deal? Hard to say. I think he's a decent fit for the Yankees if they can whisper sweet nothings into Jazz Chisholm's ear and get him to play a little bit more third base every day, as he did a couple of years ago. I think he could be a fit in Tampa Bay, where they're already deploying a very contact-heavy approach and playing friend of the program Richie Palacios at second base on a regular basis. Are there any other landing spots for Arraez that catch your eye?
Texas. Texas is like a total layup for me. I think that's the one that has not been getting a ton of second base production this season. And that's like right the level of, I expect them to be aggressive. Do I expect them to have enough to like really make some huge deal? No. But maybe Arraez, if he's like the obvious best hitter available. We keep talking about him as like, will a better hitter than Arraez get traded? I'm still not sure about that. But that would be the other team that I would look at pretty closely. I guess the Dodgers, but that would be, I don't see Buster Posey helping the Dodgers out on purpose. So, yeah.
Robbie Ray, everybody could use a left-handed starter. I don't think that one is particularly compelling. Let's move on to another seller. The Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim. I said on the last podcast that I thought Zach Neto would be the best player traded at this deadline. I no longer stand by that because I think Tarek Skubal is going to get traded.
Yeah, I just think it's more likely that they move the pitchers. I think it's going to be hard to come. Sure. I think Zach Neto's trade value is probably a pretty difficult thing to nail down right now, and I can imagine there just being a lot of incompatibility about what they're looking for, considering the season he's having, but also the upside that he's shown. Whereas I do at this point expect at least one of Detmers or Soriano to go. That feels like it should be the focus for Los Angeles. And those are two very different pitchers with very different strengths and weaknesses. And so if and when that happens, I look forward to talking about that. But based on how I think they're going to listen on Neto. I just think that's a tough one. Whereas Detmers and Soriano, now Soriano is also a tough one to figure out because of how amazing he was to start the season and how bad he's been since. Detmers, it's been a little steadier.
Yeah.
I think the focus is going to be on moving those arms if I'm Johnny Mozeliak.
And I think what's important to understand is that there is a lot of starting pitching available at this deadline. There's not really a lot of like controllable starting pitching on bad teams available. Guys that are willing to like that type of player. And for that reason, I think Detmers Soriano is a good fit for clubs that are kind of in the mix, but might not actually be their year, whether that's the Nats or the White Sox, right?
Yep.
maybe even the Marlins. They buy like that. But where it's the Diamondbacks, maybe, where we're good now, but we want to be good for a while. Let's go get someone with a little bit more control, as opposed to a team like the Astros, who appear to be living more for today. Let's go from the Angels to the Rockies, who have a cornucopia of tradable players that make you go,
Yeah, I will say Jake McCarthy, we have talked a little bit about Mickey Moniak and the fun season he's having. I know he had a bit of an injury, but we're still looking at a guy, yes, cores, yes, platoon splits. Mickey Moniak has a 567 slugging percentage in 260 plate appearances. So I would imagine that will be attractive to some team. That said, Jake McCarthy also having a pretty nice season. Now, he's also kind of a volatile offensive player, but he's one of the fastest players in baseball. I think speed and defense at the very least, kind of a slash and dash approach. Left-handed, so teams are really chasing righties more so, but that's a player that I think they could cash in on. But I'm most interested with Colorado is how many of these relievers they unload. Senzatella, one of the longest tenured Rockies, also an expiring contract. I expect him to move. He's been really good since he moved to the bullpen. But they've got a lot of these younger guys. They already traded Seth Halverson, but Juan Mejia and Jaden Hill, some of these guys are injured. Bernardino's more of a veteran guy, but I'd be curious if they flip any of those hard-throwing relievers like Halverson.
A Rockies reliever that you've never thought about is going to become a main character in October.
Might be Seth Halverson, but it also could be one of these other guys at some point. So, I think the Rockies, they'll do some stuff.
I think we can group the next two teams together, the Royals and the A's, two absolute disasters that, frankly, don't really have a whole lot to deal away. The Royals will probably trade Lane Thomas, who kills lefties.
Man.
What's that?
It's just like, by the way, Lane Thomas has been better than he's back to pretty much what he was before his completely non-existent season last year due to injuries. So he'll help someone. Teams want right-handed hitting. Like he'll get traded. He'll be fine. I just am thinking about there are teams when they're seeing, like, think about the Mets, for example, or even the Blue Jays, who we're about to talk about. It's a disaster. It's depressing. It's bleak. But once you accept it, you're like, all right, like, we got some stuff to move. Like, let's get after it. Let's try to get some prospects. I'm just thinking about how bleak it is, like, when you're a team like the Royals or A's, when everything goes wrong and you're looking around and you're just like, hey, we just kind of have to wait.
No.
There's not even anything to, like, quote unquote look forward to where we can, like, add a bunch of stuff at the deadline because we have nothing to trade. I mean, the Royals could trade Michael Wacha and get some stuff, but it doesn't seem like they want to do that. And then the A's, man, I mean, this has just been a miserable few weeks, and Langoliers is out for the year now probably, and they just have nothing to trade. It's dark times in Yolo County.
The Reds and the Jays will group together as teams that will probably sell, but definitely should. At time of recording, the Reds, I believe, are 4 games out in the wild card, 5 games out.
Yep.
In the NL wild card picture, 6 games under 500. The Jays are 10 games. 10 games under 500. Ooh. 5.5 back in the AL wild card. Jordan, when Bo Bichette went yard last October, I thought we'd live forever. Turns out that's not the case. Instead, we're all going to die as soon, maybe, as this weekend. The Jays do have a lot to deal.
They do. They sure do. I mean, it's going to hurt. It's going to be sad. This is about as somber of a sell-off as could be. I mean, I guess you could put the Mets in that bucket, but to me, the idea that the Jays could deal Gausman, Springer, and Varsho over the next week, all expiring contracts, and Bieber, who just had a catastrophic outing against the Nats after one of his best outings as a Blue Jay right before that. So no clue what to make of Shane Bieber, but I imagine they're going to at least be willing to trade him. I mean, I wouldn't.
He walked
I wouldn't be
6
counting
people
on
yesterday in the first inning.
In the first inning, yeah.
He got 2 outs. Walked 6 guys.
7 scoreless the outing before. So But think about how significant those characters are. I mean, Gossman and Springer, I don't have to over. I mean, those are really, besides Vlad and Bo, the defining players of this era of Blue Jays baseball. I mean, am I wrong? I mean, those signings were so important, and obviously what they were able to give, especially Springer last year, they're hugely consequential.
Sure.
Now, how does that mean they're about to get traded for a bunch of top 100 prospects? Not necessarily. I think Gossman might, because he's someone that you can imagine teams would trust to start a playoff game. But just the emotional devastation of this season for Toronto is really kind of tough to really reckon with.
Reckle with. Who could trade for Springer? Gossman is... whenever we talk about starting pitchers, I think it's silly to think about fits because every team could use a Kevin Gossman right now that's in the mix. Whereas for Springer, it's like, okay, not everybody has a hole for a right-handed hitter, a designated hitter, right? Like those are not a dime a dozen. The Padres, if the Pirates want to put Marcell Ozuna to sleep, they could be a decent fit. I guess the Diamondbacks are doing a lot of Adrian Del Castillo at DH. Do the Brewers go ahead and get Springer as replacement for Jake Bauers, who just got hurt? I know Bauers is a lefty. Where else do you think Springer could land? Because he can't play outfield anymore.
Yes. As messed up as this is, Seattle? I mean, in terms of right-handed DHs, like there actually are a lot of spots that teams could talk themselves into it. And I think most importantly, George Springer has been hitting the ball really well over the last 3 or 4 weeks in a way that over the first couple months, it was like, okay, it's over. He's cooked. He's whatever happened last year, he over the hill. He turns 37 in September. So you got to price that in, but I don't know. I think someone will probably talk themselves into George Springer, and that's going to be a tough phone call.
My good pal Jordan Shusterman, do you remember my bold prediction at the beginning of the season?
That just said, was it about George Springer?
George Springer traded back to the Astros, the next in a long line.
That was one of your bold predictions.
I believe so.
I don't remember that at all, but that does make sense. That's a lot of Jordan in the outfield.
Bold prediction. Astros bold prediction. I'm looking at it right now. Trade for George Springer at the deadline.
Wow, I have no recollection of that, but I'll trust you there. That is sure. Like I said, that means that one of him or Jordan are going to have to play a lot more outfield, which is probably not Plan A. But sure. The Astros have done crazier things. We've seen them reunite.
I have to say, I'm so excited. We're going to do this after the deadline to go back and do bold prediction check-in because oh boy.
I don't know if we gotta give it some time. We can do it off the air and save it for the end of the season. Just be glad you got that Giancarlo Stanton still on base. That's all I'm gonna say.